and welcome back for this week podcast Les Millionnaires des Diamants. So for you guys that are following us for the first time on Monday and Tuesday, Sylvain and I are together for the first segment of the podcast, which is about the book Super Communicator from Charles Duhigg. And today we are actually taking a little bit of a look back about the chapter that we have just finished. So if you guys remember, we spent like a couple podcasts talking about conflicts, couple, we've talked about looping, we've talked about questions. So now the author will offer you kind of a practical guide. So we are going to do a look back to what we've covered and bring you some many new examples just to be sure that you can integrate all of those notions and apply it to your day-to-day life.
Yes, so we are going to remind us the third rule of the learning conversation. So we need to make sure that we ask about other feeling and share our own feeling. This is the how the art of the how do we feel conversation. Okay, so even if we are in a relationship or not, if we have children or not, we have we are yeah, at Tupperware, but maybe with our colleagues. So we have to use that. How do we feel conversation all the time? And the best way to start this kind of conversation is to ask for deep question.
Yes. So we want to cover with you what are the three characteristics of good deep questions. Okay. So as he said, like when you are able to ask those type of questions, you will get obviously more in deep in the how do you feel conversation. So characteristic number one, a deep question asks about values, beliefs, experiences, and not just fact. Okay, so let's take like a simple example, okay, just to really feel the difference. So imagine that you are at a dinner party or you are with somebody new, like in your job or whatever, or maybe you're dating, okay? So you met someone for the first time. Okay, so obviously the default easy question is to ask, what do you do for a living or where do you work? That is a factual question. The person will probably answer like, I am a teacher, I am an accountant, I am a banker, I am a concierge. Okay, so, or I work at the bank. So as you will see, the conversation will probably just stop there. Okay, because you don't know necessarily what to say next. Okay, you have an information, but you don't get enough of who they really are actually. Yeah, go on.
Okay. Of course, if you ask a question and it's more deep, okay, so you're gonna have more juice from the question, of course. So if you ask, what do you love the most about your work? Okay, it's not going to be I'm an accountant. Okay, so it's going to probably tell you a story. Okay, or if you ask what make you made you want to go in that field, okay, so it's going to tell you a story. Okay, so this is something that is going to change. Okay, so the person doesn't give you the title anymore, they tell you the whole story. Okay, how everything starts and where they why they decide to go in that field. Okay, they might say what I love is helping other people understand their finance instead of just telling you I am an accountant. Okay, so it's going to tell you a story, and it's going to maybe say, okay, my father was a stockbroker and I see him helping them buy their first house, and I say, oh my god, this gives me the vocation, I want to do the same thing. Okay, so see, if the question is different, you're gonna have a different story. It's not just like exchanging your business card. Okay, in our MLM, we make always the same mistakes. Okay, instead of asking how was your how many people were at the party, or how many did you sell. Okay, so you are going to have only that question. But if you ask a deep question, okay, and you ask them, let's say, what are you the most proud of your party, so you're going to receive another kind of story, and something that you're going to see, oh my god, it's very empowering. So it's not just factual, so you're going to receive many other information.
Yeah, and what in is interesting when you analyze a little bit like the answer of the of that person like giving you is actually there is some element on which you can continue building. So like if it said like I'm an accountant, okay, but what's next? But if like as you ask, oh, my father was a broker, okay, then you can like dig a little bit on what is the family and you love to help and what do you love like to help, do you do the same thing? So there is many different elements, so it can goes in many direction on which you can continue to build. So this is what's interesting in an open-ended question. Okay, so the same like with our Tupperware business. Okay, instead of asking like how many sales did you do, but you can ask what made you want to get into Tupperware, or what do you love the most about being a consultant. Obviously there people can share like their passion for cooking. Okay, or an example that we had in our organization, Marise Belleville, that doesn't love to cook at all but said that it makes her easy like for her to cook. Okay, or people say her desire to meet people. Okay, why was that a desire? So as you can see, there is a, I call it like golden nuggets, okay, on which you can pick and continue building the conversation. Okay, or people say I need flexibility for my kid, or you discover really why they are here. So here is the first characteristic of deep question.
Okay, number two, characteristic number two, a deep questions ask how someone feels. Okay, so sometimes we're going to ask what happened, but we forget to ask the person that experienced the thing, what happened. Okay, but let's say you had a bad day, and your spouse or your significant others ask you, okay, how was your day? You're gonna insert, not so good. Okay, and then she's waiting for but the question was, how was your day? My answer was, not so good.
But if you ask like what frustrated you today, or what makes you proud of your day, or what makes you smile today, or what makes you sad today, then obviously like the person will have to take a space, a moment like to reflect. Then they can share like, oh, like a colleague took credits for the project and I was mad at it, or I received like a good compliment from my boss, or I discovered I was number one like in sales. So then you understand what they felt and how they felt. And the same logic apply in our MLM. So when a consultant come back, okay, always like instead of asking how much did you sell, okay, then you can ask, okay, another question. So they, if you only ask like how much did you sell, they will say, oh, I sell this. Maybe they're happy, maybe they're disappointed, you don't know. And like if I remember at the time, Sylvain, that we were doing home party, like my director Annie called me and she asked me how much did you sell, and I sell like 600. And she said, oh wow, that is great. But for me, because I was used to more like 800, 900, 1000, I was disappointed. So she did not ask me how I felt. So it makes me like kind of remember that story.
Yes. So it's if she asked, let's say, how do you feel after that demonstration? So, or what went well, or what was more difficult? So she have more jewels, and she can help you. She can empower you, and she can listen to you, and you are going to evacuate what you have on your heart, and you feel lighter after that. Though, so let's say you said, okay, I love the party, the customer was enthusiastic, but there's one she was like this skeptical, but at the end when we tried the recipe she was, oh my god. And then so you are going to be you're gonna have a better temperature of what how she feel when you ask the deep question, and when you ask how um, really how she feel. Yeah.
So now let's get to characteristic number three. So asking a deep question should feel like sharing something of yourself. And this is actually probably one of the most subtle point, okay, in those three characteristics, because if you ask very personal questions, okay, like by being deep about what they love about it, how they feel, and especially if they're sad or they're mad, that you bring them in some type of emotion that can be a triggering a little bit for themselves, okay, but you never reveal anything about you, then it will feel intrusive for the person. Okay, because remember, conversation, there is two actor in it. Okay, it's not like the police and like the bandit. Okay, it's not an interrogation, it's a conversation. So I want to give you an example, okay, of why it is so important for you like to share in those moments. So imagine you have like a friend that is going through a difficult time. Okay, so can be like cancer, the loss of somebody, he lost his job, or like something hard happened on him. Okay, and you ask them, okay, why are you so sad lately? It's really a deep question. Okay, that person has to share like itself and like be vulnerable. Okay, but without any sharing on your part, it will sound like a demand, like tell me, I want to know. Okay, but if you say, I've noticed, okay, that you smile less lately, okay, I've been through some hard time either, okay, and I know it can be hard, do you want to talk about it, about like what's going on? So obviously here the person feel that, okay, you acknowledge how I feel, you don't make it about yourself, okay, but like I feel something, so maybe I can help you. So here it's really about sharing your vulnerability, okay? And it's about reciprocity. So it's about creating a safe space. And a safe space is if both feel that they are on the same level, not that somebody is higher or lower than the other. So the questions become an invitation and actually not a command.
Yes, in our MLM, it's the same. If we see then someone who's going to stagnate, and you know, uh, if I ask her what's wrong, so she's gonna be defensive. Okay, she's gonna be feel judged. But if we say, let's say, I remember I had a hard time too when I start, and it was not always easy, and I cannot find the thing that it's going wrong. Okay, I cannot put my finger on it. So um, what is the most difficult thing for you right now? Okay, so I share that I had an experience. I shared my personal difficulties, and now I'm not her boss. Okay, she feel that, okay, he's human. Okay, he had some problem too, and I can share with him. So it's something that it's a I give and she give, so it's an exchange.
Yes, exactly. So it's it's the first part of the conversation. How do you feel? So we want to ask deep question, but sometimes before asking those questions, okay, there are elements that we can see. Okay, we call it the non-linguistic emotional expression. Okay, those are things that show that you listen not just with your ears, but you actually listen and really be aware of the situation. Okay, so you can look at the tone of voice, the cadence, the gesture, okay, and even the posture of the people. You know that when somebody is sad, that naturally they bring their shoulders like in the front, they like put their heads down. So those are all elements that can help you, okay, have better interaction and better how do you feel conversation. So we've seen it in like the previous episode, okay? You can't exactly know what someone is feeling, but you can detect two things. So if you remember, those two things were mood and energy. Okay, so we want to give you concrete example of how you can pick those two elements, the mood and energy. So energy can be high and low. So if you are high energy is right, you're kind of excited, but if you're low energy, you're maybe a bit more calm. But the mood is more about like being positive or negative. So sometimes, yes, even the most positive people like on earth like have days that they are in a less better mood. Okay, so imagine you come down to like your breakfast at the morning and your teenager is sitting at the table. Okay, so they have their eyes glued on their phone, not looking at you, not saying anything. Okay, they answer yes, okay, or no when you ask them something, and like they kind of drag their feet, okay, like by not really wanted to be here. So here is what you can detect. The mood may be negative. The energy is kind of low. So naturally, as good parent, okay, sometimes they make mistakes and they say, "Oh, he's low energy. I want to bring back like in positive energy and high energy." So they say, "Hey, how was your going? Like, what are you going to do today? Got anything interesting in classes?" So you will speak loudly and smiling. But Sylvain, we know that can be a mistake, right?
Yeah. So why is it a mistake? It's because, as you said, it is a low energy, and if you answer like this, you feel very disconnect with him. Okay, you're not in their world. Okay, they will feel misunderstood and even more isolate. Okay, so they are going to shut down even more. Okay, the right approach, it's okay. I need to slow down, so I need to. He is low energy, so I'm going to speak louder. Okay, so I'm going to speak softly, and let's say you sit next to him and you say, okay, I get the feeling that it's not a great morning. Okay, do you want to talk about it, or just say, do you want me to be with you, okay, to be here? And you match the energy, so you show them that you see their state. Okay, you're not forcing them to talk, but you are creating a space where they could um, um, let's say express themselves if they are feeling that it's a good idea.
Yes. So acknowledge like the mood and not acknowledge the energy, not by necessarily saying, "Oh, I feel you low energy," but by the way you interact with them is a great way like to connect on the how do we feel conversation. So here's another example. Okay, so a colleagues walk into the break room. Okay, probably Sylvain, you will have like many many visual of teacher that that were like that. So they walking fast. They kind of even like throwing stuff at the table. They speak loudly. They interrupt other. They're kind of mad. So here is what you detect from them. The mood is negative. Okay, and the energy is really high. Obviously, if you confront them with like those that high energy negative, that won't be good. Okay, so most people will react. Okay, either they will shrink back and say like, "Oh my god, okay, don't talk to him." Okay, or they will answer them on the exact same tone. Okay, sometimes there can even be like sarcasm, and the situation will escalate. Okay, so this is not good. So the right approach could be, okay, like you don't match their energy necessarily. So you won't be like high energy and negative as they are, but you will acknowledge it. So you can say, "Oh, I can see you're really upset. What did happen? Is it like was it with another teacher? Was it with a student? Was it with like some parents, some interaction that you have, or was it at home? So what happened? Because I see you're really upset. So you don't want to get with them in that energy, because you will get dragged into it, and like that won't be good either for them but either for you. Okay, so you don't run from them, you acknowledge like the feeling, and you give them the opportunity to explain. So obviously here we'll open a discussion about how they feel, and a way like between teacher like or colleagues like to connect here.
Yes, and in our MLM, we saw it all the time. So you remember when we were doing training in person? Okay, so let's say people are not in the good mood, so they're going to sit the last in the last row, maybe cross their arms, and they are at the meeting, but they are not at the meeting. Okay,
Mhm.
so they avoid, let's say. Eye contact, they are not participating in discussion. Okay, so you feel the mood, it's negative, and you feel the energy, it's low. Okay, so you some leader are going to ignore them. Okay, of course, if we ignore them, we are creating a problem. Okay, so it's not the time to address that in front of everyone. Okay, but um we have to wait. Okay, and of course, if the meeting is high energy, okay, and so it's not going to make him with a better energy. Okay, so if I talk to him during the meeting and I say, come on, okay, let's go, what's your goal? So I don't have the good answer. Okay, so this is not the right approach. So after the meeting, let's say we are going to take that person aside, and you are going to sit with her and ask with with a lower voice, and we slow down, and I'm going to say, okay, I notice, okay, you seem a bit you're not in the mood today. Okay, is there something you want to talk about? And probably, oh, she say that, acknowledge her, I see her, okay, I match the energy, and I am here for her. So maybe she's going to open, and I show that I care. Okay, she's not just a number. Okay, I care, and I match the energy, and I'm there to help her and to listen to her.
Yes. Great. So we want to give you like other like good example of how you can apply what we've just like cover right now, even like if we've gone like a little bit deeper in previous podcasts. Okay. So it's kind of a roadmap that we want to give you. So take a question you ask out of habit, okay, and try to transform like that question. So think of when you meet new people or when you work with your consultant, how you adapt it. Okay. So like in a relationship like with a friend, okay, instead of asking what did you do today, okay, change that question back by what made you proud today, or what made you laugh today, or what is one thing that you will love to change about today. Okay, so what did you do to what made you, or what made you laugh, or what is one thing you want to change. Okay, second example, okay, with kids. Okay, did school go well? Obviously the kids, because he don't want to get like to talk about it, especially if he's a teenager. Okay, yeah, everything went well. Okay, ask what was the coolest thing today. Okay, or and what was the less cool things today, or what activity did you do on your dinner. Okay, so really ask question that will help them, okay, share a bit more that it go well or not at school.
Okay, third example, in your RMLM, instead of asking how many sales did you make today, okay, ask what gave you energy this week, okay, what drain you in your business right now, okay. So it's more open, and you're gonna have more choose from the answer. For example, in a team meeting, instead of asking people for their opinion on, let's say, a new program or a new promotion, ask what excites you about this new program. Okay, what worries you about this new program. Okay, so that way you're gonna have the right answer. Fifth example, with an unhappy customer instead of asking what's wrong. Okay, uh, that makes that can make sounds like an accusation. Ask what disappoints you most about our service, or what would you like us to do differently. So that way, we are going to have the answer.
Yes. So don't forget, okay, one part of the golden rule, okay, is that when you ask deep questions, you have to share something of yourself, okay? So we want to be sure that the reciprocity creates safety for the person that you are asking the questions, okay? So here are the four lessons, okay, of our takeaway today. Lesson number one: when you ask deep questions, it should be about values, feeling, and experiences, and not just fact. Okay? Open end questions. Lesson number two: listen with your eyes and your ears. Okay, which means that the tone, the cadence, the posture, the energy. Okay, and don't settle for just word. Look at the mood and look at the energy. Okay, lesson number three. Okay, match or acknowledge. So if you can align with their energy and it won't drag you into like maybe a negative energy, go for it. Otherwise, just acknowledge what is their emotion and that you notice it and ask them to explain. And number four, don't forget to share something about yourself. Deep question is an invitation, not an interrogation. So try this week. Okay, so identify factual questions, okay, that you ask people or new people that you meet and try to transfer them, okay, into more deep questions and observe what will be the change in the conversation. And remember, at first, it will sound weird to ask them about it, but just realize that in times you will be more comfortable with those type of questions, and obviously this will be a great way for you to connect. So you can do it with your partner, you can do it with your consultant, and you can like even sometimes do it with yourself, okay, and ask, okay, what's the matter right now? So tomorrow we are continuing in that resume of the chapter. So be with us at 8. I will be with my colleague Sylvain. So on that, bye everyone.